Welcome to EPG Padasala. This is Dr. Gayatri Devi from the Department of Biochemistry, Biotechnology and Bioinformatics, Avinashlingam Institute for Home Science and Higher Education for Women, Coimbatore. In this module, we are going to see about brain and spinal cord. The nervous system is divided into two types as central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of spinal cord and brain, and the peripheral nervous system consists of ganglia, peripheral nerves that lie outside the brain and the spinal cord. The spinal cord is found in the vertebral column and the brain is housed in the cranium, that is skull. The spinal cord has 32 segments and the brain consists of the brainstem, diencephalon, cerebellum and cerebrum. The foramen magnum, the highest cervical segment of the spinal cord, is continuous with the lowest level of the medulla of the brainstem. The 12 cranial nerves attached to the brain, which forms the upper part of the peripheral nervous system and record general sensations of pain, temperature, touch and pressure. The blood supply to the brain originates from the first major arterial branches from the heart, ensuring that over 20% of the entire supply of oxygenated blood flows directly into the brain. This module will enable you to know about the brain tissues and the parts of the brain, to understand the functions of the midbrain and brainstem, to learn the structural organization of the spinal cord. Brain is housed in the cranium and has several parts, whereas the spinal cord is housed inside the vertebral column. These organs of the central nervous system are covered by tough protective tissues called meninges, and the organs which are surrounded by the cerebrospinal fluids provides the protection. The brain has 4 ventricles. They are lined with the cells that produce the cerebrospinal fluid, which maintains the blood-brain barrier. Its surface, called cerebral cortex, is convoluted and exhibits elevated ridges called gyri, which are separated by shallow grooves called fissures. This separates the large portion of brain. Coming to central nervous system, it is formed by neurons and supporting cells called neuroglia. It is composed of brain and spinal cord. The structures of brain and spinal cord are arranged in 2 layers, namely grey matter and white matter. Grey matter is formed by nerve cell bodies and the proximal parts of the nerve fibers arising from the nerve cell body. White matter is formed by the remaining parts of nerve fibers. In brain, the white matter is placed in inner part and grey matter is placed in outer part. In spinal cord, the white matter is in the outer part and the grey matter is in the inner part, vice versa. The brain is situated in the skull. It is continued as spinal cord in the vertebral canal through the foramen magnum of the skull bone. Brain and spinal cord are surrounded by 3 layers of meninges called the outer dura mater, middle arachnoid matter and inner pia mater. The space between the arachnoid matter and pia mater is known as subarachnoid space. This space is filled with a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. The brain and the spinal cord are actually suspended in the cerebrospinal fluid. The important parts of the brain and segments of spinal cord is clearly explained in this. Now let us see one by one. The dura mater, it is the outermost of the meningeal layers. It is the thickest membrane. The dura around the cerebral hemispheres and the brainstem is actually made up of 2 layers. The outer layer is attached to the inner side of the skull. Coming to arachnoid matter, it is the middle meningeal layer. It lies next to the dura mater, but it is not tightly bound to it. The space existing between the 2 layers is known as the subdural space. Breaking of a blood vessel in the dura mater can cause bleeding and a formation of a blood clot in this subdural space. This results in a subdural hematoma. This is dangerous because the blood clot can push the arachnoid and dura layers apart, compressing the brain tissues. We are now moving on to pia mater. The pia mater is the innermost meningeal layer adhering to the brain and the spinal cord. It is a delicate layer and is separated from the arachnoid mater by a space known as subarachnoid space. This space is filled with CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, and contains the veins and arteries overlaying the surface of CNS. The brain is a soft, spongy mass of nerve cells and supportive tissue. It has three major parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. These parts work together, but each has special functions. The cerebrum, the largest part of the brain, fills most of the upper skull. It has two halves called left and right cerebral hemispheres. The cerebrum uses the information from our sense to tell us what is going on around us and tell us our body how to respond. The right hemisphere controls the muscles on the left side of the body, and the left hemisphere controls the muscles on the right side of the body. This part of the brain also controls speech and emotions, as well as reading, thinking, and learning. The cerebellum under the cerebrum at the back of the brain controls balance and complex actions like walking and talking. The brain is protected by the bones of the skull and by covering of three thin membranes called as meninges. The brain is also cushioned and protected by cerebrospinal fluid. This watery fluid is produced by special cells in the four hollow spaces in the brain called ventricles. It flows through the ventricles and in spaces between the meninges. The cerebrospinal fluid also brings nutrients from the blood to the brain and removes the waste products from the brain. Now we are going to see about the parts of brain. The brain consists of three major divisions, which is clearly given in the figure. They are prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and rhombencephalon. First, let us see prosencephalon. It is otherwise known as forebrain, and it is further divided into two parts as telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon, which includes cerebral hemispheres, basal ganglia, hippocampus, and amygdaloid nucleus. Diencephalon consisting of thalamus, hypothalamus, metathalamus, and subthalamus. Mesencephalon is also known as midbrain. It is associated with vision, hearing, motor control, sleep or wake, arousal, and temperature regulation. The third one, rhombencephalon or hindbrain, which extends from the spinal cord and contains structures such as the pons and cerebellum. These regions assist in maintaining the balance and equilibrium, movement coordination, and the conduction of sensory information. The hindbrain also contains the medulla oblongata, which is responsible for controlling such autonomic functions such as breathing, heart rate, and digestion. Again, it is subdivided into two portions as metencephalon, which is formed by the pons and cerebellum, and myelencephalon or medulla oblongata. The midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata are together known as brainstem. The surface of the cerebral cortex has grooves or infoldings called sulci, the largest of which are termed as fissures. Some fissures separate lobes. The convolutions of the cortex give it a worthy appearance. Each convolution is delimited by two sulci and is called as gyrus. The cerebrum is divided into two halves known as the right and left hemispheres. The mass of fibers called the corpus callosum, which links the hemispheres. The right hemisphere controls voluntary limb movements on the left side, and the left hemisphere controls the voluntary limb movements of the right side of the body. Almost every person has one dominant hemisphere. Each hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes or areas which are interconnected. The frontal lobes are located in the front of the brain and are responsible for voluntary movement, and via their connections with other lobes participate in the execution of sequential tasks such as speech output, organizational skills, and certain aspects of behavior, mood, and memory. The parietal lobes, they are located behind the frontal lobes and in the front of the occipital lobes. They process sensory information such as temperature, pain, taste, and touch. In addition, the processing includes the information about numbers, attentiveness to the position of one's body parts, the space around one's body, and one's relationship to the space. The temporal lobes, they are located on each side of the brain and they process memory and auditory, that is the hearing information, and speech and language functions. The occipital lobe, which is the fourth one, it is located at the back of the brain. They receive and process the visual information. Now we are moving on to brainstem. Brainstem is the part of brain formed by medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain. Brainstem contains ascending and descending tracts between the brain and spinal cord. It also contains many centers for regulation of vital functions of the body. So what is medulla oblongata? It is the lowermost part of the brain which is situated below pons and continue downwards the spinal cord. Medulla forms the main pathway for ascending and descending tracts of the spinal cord. It also has many important centers which control the vital functions. So first one is respiratory center. The dorsal and ventral group of neurons form the medullary respiratory center which maintain normal rhythmic respiration. The vasomotor center is the next one which controls the blood pressure and heart rate. Deglutition center regulates the pharyngeal and esophageal stages of deglutition. Vomiting center which induces vomiting during irritation or inflammation of gastrointestinal tract. Superior and inferior salivatory nuclei, it controls the secretion of saliva. The cranial nerve nuclei, which is the nuclei of 12th, 11th, 10th and some nuclei of 8th and 5th cranial nerves are located in the medulla oblongata. The 12th cranial nerve controls the movements of tongue. 11th one controls the movements of shoulder, and 10th cranial nerve controls almost all the vital functions in the body like cardiovascular system, respiratory system and GI tract system. The 8th cranial nerve, the cochlear division of this nerve, which has the relay in medulla oblongata, is concerned with the auditory function. Next is vestibular nuclei. It contains the second order neurons of vestibular nerve. There are 4 vestibular nuclei situated in the rostral part of the medulla and caudal part of the pons, namely superior, medial, lateral and inferior vestibular nuclei. Medial and inferior vestibular nuclei extend into medulla. All the medullary centers and nuclei of cranial nerves are controlled by higher centers situated in the cerebral cortex and hypothalamus. Now we are moving on to pons. Pons forms the bridge between medulla and midbrain. The functions of pons are: the axons of pontine nuclei join to form the middle cerebellar peduncle or the brachium pontic. Pons forms a pathway that connects the cerebellum with cerebral cortex. The pyramidal tracts pass through pons, and the medial lemniscus is joined by the fibers of 10th, 9th, 7th and 5th cranial nerves in pons. The nuclei of 8th, 7th, 6th and 5th cranial nerves are located in pons, and it contains the pneumotaxic and apneustic centers for regulation of respiration. It also contains the vestibular nuclei which are already mentioned in medulla oblongata. The midbrain, and the hindbrain together make up the brainstem. The midbrain is the portion of the brainstem that connects the hindbrain and the forebrain. This region of the brain is involved in auditory and visual responses as well as motor function. Midbrain, which lies between the pons and diencephalon, again consists of two parts. One is tectum and the second one is cerebral peduncles. Tectum is again formed by two structures. Superior colliculus, which is a small structure and an important center for reflexes. Through tectospinal tract, superior colliculus controls the movement of the eyes, head, trunk and limbs in response to visual impulses. The efferent fibers from superior colliculus going to the nucleus of third cranial oculomotor nerve cause constriction of pupil during light reflex. Thus, it forms a center for light reflex. Superior colliculus also receives afferent from the optic tract, which helps in the integration of optical and postural reflexes. Second one is inferior colliculus, which consists of single layer of neurons to which the lateral lemniscus, that is the auditory fiber, synapses. Inferior colliculus is also the center for auditory reflexes, and stimulation of this also produces reflex vocalization. We are just passing on to cerebral peduncles. Cerebral peduncles include basis pedunculi or basis pedunculus, which consists of pyramidal tract fibers in the middle, temporopontine fibers laterally and frontopontine fibers medially. Substantia nigra is situated below the red nucleus. It is considered as one of the components of basal ganglia. Then tegmentum, which includes the red nucleus, lies dorsal to the substantia nigra and is actually the upward continuation of the reticular formation in pons. Tegmentum comprises three decussations and red nucleus. The decussation in tegmentum, in which the superior cerebellar peduncle is formed by the fibers between the cerebellum and other parts of central nervous system. These fibers are predominantly efferent fibers from dentate nucleus of cerebellum, and a few fibers are from other cerebellar nuclei such as nucleus globus and nucleus emboliformis. For decussation, which is due to the crossing of rubrospinal tracts from either side, and Maynard decussation is due to the crossing of medial longitudinal bundle that is formed by efferent fibers of third, fourth and sixth cranial nerves. We are moving on to red nucleus. It is the large oval or round mass of grey matter extending between the superior colliculus and hypothalamus. Nerve afferent, it has got afferent connections to the red nucleus and efferent connection to the red nucleus, which is given in the figure 3 and 4. The nucleus parvocellulus, it is the afferent connections, that is the red nucleus receives fibers from nucleus parvocellularis, which is formed by smaller cells. The fibers from this form mainly the rubroreticular tract receives fibers from motor cortex, that is cortico-rubral fibers. And the next one is nucleus magnocellularis, which is formed by large cells. The fibers from this form the rubrospinal and rubrobulbar tracts. It receives fibers from motor cortex, that is pallidorubral fibers. It also receives fiber from dentate nucleus, that is cerebellar rubral dentorubral tract. Coming to efferent connections, the red nucleus sends efferent fibers to various parts of the brain and spinal cord. They are the rubrospinal tract to spinal cord, rubrobulbar tract to medulla, rubroreticular fibers to reticular formation, rubrothalamic tract to lateral ventral nucleus of thalamus, rubro-olivary tract to inferior olivary nucleus, and fibers to nuclei of 3rd, 4th and 6th cranial nerves. Now let us move on to the functions of red nucleus. It controls the muscle tone. Because of its connections with cerebellum, vestibular apparatus and skeletal muscle, the red nucleus plays an important role in facilitating the muscle tone. Second one is control of complex muscular movements. The red nucleus controls the complex muscular movements and it plays an important role in the integration of various impulses received from many important areas of brain. They control the writing reflexes. It is the red nucleus is the center for all writing reflexes except optical writing reflexes, and it also controls the movements of eyeball through its efferent connections with the nuclei of 3rd, 4th and 6th cranial nerves. The red nucleus plays an important role in the control of ocular movements. Next one is control of skilled movements. It also plays an important role in controlling the skilled muscular movements by its connections with the spinal cord and the cerebral cortex. We are just moving on to spinal cord. Spinal cord is a long, fragile, tube-like structure that begins at the end of the brainstem and continues down almost to the bottom of the spine. The spinal cord consists of nerves that carry incoming and outgoing messages between the brain and the rest of the body. It is also the center for reflexes such as knee-jerk reflex. Like the brain, the spinal cord is covered by 3 layers of tissues. The spinal cord and the meninges are contained in the spinal canal which runs through the center of the spine. In most adults, the spine is composed of 26 individual backbones, that is vertebrae. Just as the skull protects the brain, the vertebrae protect the spinal cord. The vertebrae are separated by discs made of cartilage which act as cushions, reducing the forces generated by movements such as walking and jumping. The spinal cord is made up of bundles of nerve fibers. It runs down the brain through a canal in the center of the bones of the spine. These bones protect the spinal cord. Like the brain, the spinal cord is covered by the meninges and cushioned by cerebrospinal fluid. This figure is explaining the spinal meninges and the structure of the spinal cord. We are moving on to the organization of spinal cord. A column of bones called vertebrae makes up the spine, the spinal column. The vertebrae protect the spinal cord, a long fragile structure contained in the spinal canal which runs through the center of the spine. Between vertebrae are the discs composed of cartilage which help cushioning the spine and give it some flexibility. Like the brain, the spinal cord is covered by the layers of tissues. And then now let us see about spinal nerves. The spinal nerves connect the brain with the nerves in most parts of the body. Other nerves go directly from the brain to the eyes, ears and other parts of the head. This network of nerve which carries messages back and forth between the brain and the rest of the body. Emerging from the spinal cord between the vertebrae are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Each nerve emerges in 2 short branches. One at the front, the motor and anterior root of the spinal cord, and one at the back, sensory or posterior root of the spinal cord. Motor roots. They carry the commands from the brain and the spinal cord to the other parts of the body, particularly skeletal muscles. The sensory roots, they carry information to the brain from other parts of the body. Cauda equina. It is the spinal cord ends about 3/4 of the way down the spine, but a bundle of nerves extends beyond the cord. This bundle is called cauda equina because it resembles the horse tail. It carries nerve impulse to and fro the legs. Like the brain, the spinal cord consists of grey and white matter. The butterfly-shaped center of the cord consists of grey matter. The front wings called horns contains motor nerve cells which transmit information from the brain or spinal cord to the muscles stimulating movements. The back horns contain sensory nerve cells which transmit sensory information from other parts of the body through the spinal cord to the brain. The surrounding brain matter, which contains the columns of nerve fibers that carry sensory information to the brain from the rest of the body, that is ascending tracts, and columns that carry impulses from the brain to the muscle, that is descending tracts. Hence, to conclude, the human brain has been called the most complicated organization of matter in the known universe. Knowing the most important structures of the brain and their spatial relationship is important for understanding how the brain works. The brain and the spinal cord are encased in 3 layers of the protective membrane, the dura mater, the arachnoid and the pia mater. The brain has 4 cavities filled with cerebrospinal fluid called cerebral ventricles. They are portions of the phylogenetically ancient neural canal that enlarged and changed their shape as a result of massive expansion of the forebrain in the course of evolution.